The Philadelphia 76ers have been one of the more drama-filled teams to start the season, and that drama revolves entirely around Ben Simmons. While Simmons is still on the team for now, a recent report came out explaining that Simmons is not mentally ready to suit up for the 76ers yet. It has been a pretty dramatic past few months for the organization, and I believe Simmons understands that he's the root cause of that. While Simmons is responsible for creating this awkward situation, in the end I do believe it will work out for him. Philadelphia was never a great spot for him because the expectations were always going to be so high. When the 76ers drafted him, they were in the midst of the process, which was a tumultuous period of losing that provided a horrible basketball product for 76er fans. That being the case, Ben Simmons was viewed as the 76ers savior. However, thus far Simmons has not lived up to those lofty expectations. While he's been a very good player, Simmons hasn't exactly been the superstar that people thought he'd be when he entered the league. Because of this, Simmons has become the scapegoat in Philadelphia, which is why I ultimately think he wants out. There's been a ton of pressure on him to change his game and be something that he's not, and it's clear that he'd be better suited playing somewhere outside of the spotlight. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining why the Sacramento Kings are the perfect landing spot for Ben Simmons.
Murray, inside, incredible! They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
For a Ben Simmons to Sacramento trade to be successful, this is what I think the Kings would have to give up. To make the salaries work, Sacramento would have to give up Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley. I think Philadelphia could justifiably ask for an unprotected first rounder as well as a protected pick, as they would be giving the Kings a former #1 overall draft choice in Simmons. I like this trade for the 76ers for a number of reasons. First of all, it gets Ben Simmons out of town, which rids Philadelphia of a major distraction. Daryl Morey has come out publicly and stated that he wants to make the most of Embiid's prime years, and the best way to do that is by getting rid of the person that is currently getting in the way of that. Simmons' trade value is extremely low right now, and because it's public knowledge that he wants out, it's hard to believe that his trade value will increase as time passes. With that being the case, Philadelphia should take the best offer they can get right now, and I see this Kings trade as not only the best offer they could get, but the most realistic one as well. The 76ers have been asking for tons of picks, pick swaps, and key players like CJ McCollum or OG Anunoby from other teams, but there is no way a team is going to give up that much for him. However, the Kings are a unique case because not only are they starving to put a playoff team together, but one of their best young players has been in trade rumors as well. Marvin Bagley was taken second overall by Sacramento in the 2018 draft, but he hasn't lived up to the hype so far. On top of that, Bagley's father and most recently his agent have been very public in their displeasure with the organization. When you combine these factors with the injury issues that he's had over the first few years in the league, and you can start to see why the Kings may be willing to give him up. Even though Bagley hasn't gotten off to a great start in his career, he is far from a lost cause. Bagley has career averages of 14 points and 7 rebounds and an average of just 25 minutes per game. Per 36, those numbers shoot up to 20 points and 10 rebounds, suggesting that with starters' minutes, Bagley could be capable of putting up some pretty good numbers. There are still a lot of raw aspects of Bagley's game. He needs to improve his right hand, he has to develop a better outside shot, and needs to become a smarter and more consistent defender, but the potential is there. Bagley is listed at 6'11", 235, and he is an extremely fluid player with tremendous leaping ability. He hasn't established himself in the league just yet, but if he can improve in Philadelphia, he and Embiid could be a pretty deadly big man combination in the East. Also in the deal would be Buddy Hield, who would immediately be a great fit next to Embiid. He'll be turning 29 this December, so he's on the same timeline as Embiid, but most importantly, Hield is an elite three-point shooter. For his career, Hield has shot over 40% from 3 on over 7 attempts per game, so he would provide tremendous spacing for the 76ers. Hield is capable of creating his own shot as well, and between him and Tobias Harris, they would provide some nice perimeter scoring to complement Embiid's inside game. As I mentioned, I'm sure the Kings would be willing to throw in a pick or two into this trade, which Philadelphia could either flip for some more established players or use to add some more young talent to their roster. Now on the Kings side of things, this trade is great for them because Simmons is a perfect fit for the direction that this team is going. In the past 2 drafts, Sacramento has used their lottery picks on guards Tyrese Halliburton and Davion Mitchell. With De'Aaron Fox being the Kings franchise player, they want to play an up-tempo style, and a future starting lineup with Fox, Mitchell, and Halliburton would be able to do just that. If you add Ben Simmons to that mix, the Kings would likely become the best transition team in basketball. Simmons is a tremendous athlete for someone his size, and whether he has the ball in his hands or not, he can get down the court in a hurry. He makes great decisions in transition, and he's consistently able to find the open man on the fast break or finish plays himself. Assuming Sacramento were able to trade for Simmons, this is what I think their starting lineup should look like. Similarly to the way in which fans have been clamoring for Giannis to play most of his minutes at center, I have the same feelings towards Ben Simmons as well. Simmons definitely has guard-like skills, and he's one of the better passers in the entire league, but Philly was wrong to think that he could play point guard. To play point guard, you have to be able to play fast or slow, execute in the pick and roll, and be a threat to score from the perimeter. Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Luka, these guys all fit the definition of point guards because they can control the game in the half court. Ben Simmons could never truly succeed as a point guard in Philly because he doesn't have the skill set to consistently play point guard in the half court. In reality, Ben Simmons is a bigger, athletic, and more skilled version of Draymond Green, and whatever team gets him should treat him as such. Green is someone that sets screens, finishes around the basket, and makes the right pass when he gets the ball on rolls to the rim. Simmons is a great finisher around the bucket, and he'd be great as a rim roller with Fox, Mitchell, and Halliburton setting him up for easy finishes. Also, since Simmons would be playing as a center, he wouldn't have to worry about a big man clogging up the lane for him when he's in the paint. In a lineup with Fox, Mitchell, Halliburton, and Barnes, defenses would be panicking if Simmons got the ball in the paint because they'd have to pick their poison. If you don't provide quality help, there's a good chance Simmons finishes at the rim with a dunk or layup, but if you provide too much help, Simmons will show why he's one of the best kick-out passers in the entire league and find a good shooter on the perimeter. In the 2020-21 season, these were the catch-and-shoot percentages from the three-point line for Fox, Halliburton, and Barnes. While Davion Mitchell hasn't proven himself as a three-point shooter in the league just yet, his 44.7% three-point percentage in his final year of college provides a lot of optimism for his shooting ability in the NBA. Being the lone big on the floor, I believe that Simmons' scoring average would increase. I already mentioned how Simmons could be a great finisher in transition or as a rim roller, but with no one clogging the paint, Simmons would get more post-up opportunities in Sacramento. Simmons is not exactly an elite post scorer, but he has a pretty solid right-hand jump hook, and when matched up on a smaller defender, he can often overpower them. He would definitely benefit from improving his footwork and adding a few more post moves, but the only way he can truly take strides in that area is by getting in-game reps, and he'd get that chance with the Kings. Also, by virtue of playing alongside four perimeter players, Simmons' downhill speed could be used even more in Sacramento. Philadelphia liked putting Simmons in situations where he could get a full head of steam, and I could see the Kings using Simmons in plenty of actions just like this. With the Kings, Simmons would be a much more effective offensive player because there wouldn't be pressure on him to do things he's not good at. Instead, he could just focus on the things he does well. With Sacramento, I could see Simmons averaging close to 20 points and 10 rebounds, along with 6 to 7 assists per game. Clearly, Ben Simmons would be a dynamic offensive weapon for the Kings, but he'd be just as valuable for them on the defensive end. Simmons has already earned a reputation as one of the best defensive players in the league, and the reason why is because he can defend all 5 positions. Simmons is listed at 6'11", 240, which is why I think he could start at center for the Kings, but he's also quick enough on his feet to defend wings or guards. On top of that, the Kings just drafted Davion Mitchell, who at 23 years old is already one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Throw in a good defender in Harrison Barnes and an intelligent one in Tyrese Halliburton, and you can start to see the makings of a great defensive team. All in all, a Simmons to Sacramento trade is good for both the 76ers and the Kings. Philadelphia could get Marvin Bagley, a former number 2 overall pick that still has a lot of upside, an elite shooter in Buddy Hield that could put up 16 to 18 points a night, and they'd likely be able to get a couple draft picks as well. Most importantly though, they'd get rid of the distraction that is Ben Simmons right now, and they'd be able to fully focus on developing their team. For Sacramento, they'd be adding a talented two-way player that would make them better on defense, and who would allow them to play at an even faster pace on offense. On top of that, playing in Sacramento would be a low-pressure situation for Ben Simmons. The Kings have not made the playoffs since 2006, so Kings fans would probably be happy with just being a playoff-caliber team. Because of the makeup of this roster, I also believe that Simmons' style of play would be embraced by both the team and the fans, and he wouldn't feel the pressure of having to add a jumper to his game. Sacramento would be a great destination for Ben, and I do hope he gets traded there because Philadelphia has never been the most ideal spot for him, and at this point, it seems like Simmons' relationship with the organization and the fans is beyond repair. That's going to be all for today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And with all that being said, I'm out, and I'll see you in the next video.